2 inches all right. We will depart to the Shao clan 3 days later. You should rest here for the next few days. There are plenty of origin monarch cheese here, and there are also many experts. It's a good place for cultivation. Xiao Yu, tell Xiao Yan about the Shao clan. Xiao Wang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Xiao Yan nod his head in agreement. If he didn't agree, he would have no choice but to use his most powerful means. At that time, Xiao Yan's resentment towards the Shao clan would only deepen. After giving Xiao Yu some advice, Xiao Wang walked out of the main hall. There was a new advancement in the fighting monarch in Fighting Qi continent, which was very important to the Shao clan. They had to make arrangements in advance. Senior, did you just say that there hasn't been a single fighting monarch in the Fighting Qi continent for more than 20,000 years? Seeing that Xiao Wang was about to leave, Xiao Yan asked hastily. He had wanted to ask this question before this. In his memory, the last fighting monarch in Fighting Qi continent, ancient monarch Tuo Shi, had been promoted more than 10,000 years ago. When he was passing through the spatial passageway, 9 nether monarchs Bug had said it clearly. He had met ancient monarch Tuo Shi before, and the latter had escaped successfully. In that case, ancient monarch Tuo Shi should have arrived in the Great World smoothly. Yes, more than 20,000 years ago, although the number of Fighting Qi continents that were used to break through to the next realm was decreasing, every few hundred years, the number of fighting monarchies that were used to break through to the next realm would decrease. There were also fighting monarchies that broke through. More than 20,000 years ago, ever since a fighting monarch called Yao Xuanji broke through, not a single fighting monarch broke through in 20,000 years. Xiao Wang nodded affirmatively when he heard this. Xiao Yan could not help but be stunned when he heard that. Yao Xuanji? It was very likely that it was that fighting monarch of the Yao clan. If what Xiao Wang said was true, then where did ancient monarch Tuo Shi go? Seeing Xiao Wang's figure disappear from his sight, Xiao Yan couldn't help but ponder. Ancient monarch Tuo Shi's true form was the monarch flame of a great world. In a great world, it would be the chaos great monarch flame. This was one of the 12 supreme sacred items of a great world. Could it be that he had turned into a monarch flame of heaven and earth the moment he came out? Thinking of this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but shake his head. It was simply impossible. Even the fighting monarch that Zhu Kun had upgraded from a devil beast had the wisdom and thinking of a normal person. The spirit beast and heavenly beast in a big world couldn't be compared to this, not to mention the monarch flame, a sacred object that was born from the might of the heaven and earth. With his own thoughts, he would never be willing to give up everything he had. Once again turning into a monarch flame without much intelligence, according to ancient monarch Tuo Shi's character. He should be collecting all kinds of monarch flames and evolving to a higher level. However, the prerequisite of all this was whether ancient monarch Tuo Shi had come to the great world or not. With the means of the Shao clan, they would definitely be able to grasp all the information about the new sovereign world that was connected to the Fighting Qi continent. Since Xiao Wang said that he didn't have any, then in these 20,000 years, there really wasn't a single fighting monarch that had advanced in the Fighting Qi continent. Ancient monarch Tuo Shi went there? After thinking about it for a while, the problem returned to the starting point. Xiao Yan sighed. It seemed like they still didn't really understand the secrets of this fighting monarch that had been upgraded by the heavenly flame. Oh, right. Does Mr. Xiao know where Yao Xuanji that senior mentioned is? Xiao Yan came back to his senses and looked at Xiao Yu who was standing beside him. He said with an excited expression. Xiao Yu smiled bitterly and said, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint Mr. Xiao. Although I have read many ancient books in my family, there are very few records about Yao Xuanji. The only thing that can be confirmed is, after he came to the Great World, he joined a medicine pill sect, which was located in Mingan Divine Domain. However, more than 20,000 years had passed. I don't know if that sect exists or not. Furthermore, Xiao Yu looked at Xiao Yan and shrugged helplessly. If the fighting monarch of lower realm wants to concoct pills in the Great World, it must go through the 3 steps soul transfer. Otherwise, there is no future in the field of concocting pills. That Yao Xuanji shouldn't be as lucky as Mr. Xiao, having the ultimate saint expert to concoct the 3 steps soul transfer. Hearing Xiao Yu's words, Xiao Yan couldn't help but let out a soft sigh. This was the truth. Although the fighting monarch of lower realm's talent was higher than that of the original inhabitants of the Great World, it was hard for a clever woman to cook without rice. Their souls couldn't be transformed into the souls of the great world. No matter how talented they were, they would only be like the moon in the water, a flower in the mirror. Since that's the case, I'll have to ask Mr. Xiao to tell me about the Xiao clan. Xiao Yan forced a smile and said. Xiao Yu nodded and thought for a moment. He said, I will first introduce you to the major powers in the star field. The 4 major families in the star field are called the Xiao clan, Zhou clan, Kang family, the Sang clan. The Xiao clan was located in the southern part of the star field. There were 4 or 5 prefectures in the southern part of the star field where the Xiao clan's forces were distributed. The 4 big families in the star field were all united as one. In other words, there are sects in the prefectural territories where the families are located. The Purple Radiance sect is the sect of the Xiao clan in the Spirit Heaven Mansion. The other few prefectural realms. There is also a sect that belongs to the Xiao clan. There are nearly 100 prefectures in the star field, and the 4 big families have a total of 30 of them. Apart from the 4 great families, there were also many super sects and sects. They also occupied some prefectures, followed by the 4 great academies. They each occupied 1 or 2 prefectural territories, while the rest. They also occupy some prefectural territories. After explaining the general structure of the star domain, Xiao Yu returned to the main topic. The headquarters of the Xiao clan is located in Taiching Mansion. It is named after the name of the ancestor who founded the Xiao clan in ancient books. Currently, the Xiao clan. Although there are no ultimate saint expert in the family, the development of the Xiao clan has been stable. According to his father, there were some heavenly sovereign experts. The clan was a mess, and his father could not tolerate the internal strife of the clan. That's why I'm here to request to be the sect master. I can be considered to have some free time. Xiao Yan nodded his head after hearing what Xiao Yan said. Back in Fighting Qi Continent, when the Xiao clan was just a small family with more than 100 people, the factions were divided. It was common for internal strife to occur. Not to mention, it was a super large family with hundreds of thousands of people. Oh right, does Mr. Xiao know the exact information about the 4 academies? Especially, Yunluo Academy. Xiao Yan's eyes flashed and he said softly. Xiao Yu thought for a moment and said, the closest one to Xiao clan should be Yunluo Academy. They are setting off from Xiao clan. There are only 4 prefectures of distance between us, but none of these prefectures belong to the Xiao clan. Besides, since it's an academy, it would serve as a training ground for the students. It was said that the surroundings of the Yunluo Academy were very chaotic. As far as I know, there are also many members of the Xiao clan in the 4 big academies. The most outstanding member of the Xiao clan is the grandson of the Great Elder. I heard that he has become the most elite student in the Yunluo Academy. He is ranked among the best in the realm in Valley. Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He had never thought that there would be disciples from the Xiao clan in the Yunluo Academy. If this was the case, he would have to deal with these people when he arrived. However, most of the disciples from the Xiao clan have gone to the sects that belong to the Xiao clan. Although the academy is good, it has always been lacking in courage. Xiao Yu raised his head and said with a smile. Xiao Yan nodded noncommittally. He thought for a while and said slowly, Mr. Xiao, do you know the Gu clan in the Saint Heaven realm? Since the Gu clan of 1,000,000 years ago had also sent their souls into the Fighting Qi Continent, then the Gu clan of the lower realm, which was also one of the 8 ancient families of the Xiao clan, was very likely to be the descendant of the Gu clan of the Great World. Xuan Gu Yuan, and himself were the same. The blood of the families of the Great World flowed in their bodies, although it made them very angry. However, just like the Xiao clan of Fighting Qi Continent and the Xiao clan of the Great World, the Gu clan of Fighting Qi Continent and the Gu clan of the Great World were 2 completely different concepts. Given Gu Yuan's character, he wouldn't acknowledge his ancestors and return to his home. In their hearts, Fighting Qi Continent was the true home. 2 inches Gu clan of the Saint Heaven realm? Xiao Yu frowned and fell into deep thought. After a while, Xiao Yan looked at him nervously and said slowly, the Saint Heaven realm is a very special place, and there are very few records about it. But one thing is certain, the overall strength of that place is definitely not weaker than the star field. There seems to be only one top force in the Divine Sky realm. It was called the Saint Heaven Gate. As for the Gu clan, I really don't know. Xiao Yan nodded his head silently. It didn't matter whether the GU clan existed or not. No matter what, the fighting Qi continent had no connection with the Great World. Or, it should be during the era of Desolate Zon. Or perhaps, from an even more ancient era, the people of the major powers in the fighting Qi continent who came from the Great World. Advancing to the fighting monarch was no longer for the families of the Great World, but for the prosperity of the families in fighting Qi continent. Father said that he will bring you to the Xiao clan in 3 days. You should have a good rest for these 3 days. Actually, it's not a bad place to be here. Intervening in the internal conflicts of the family is really annoying. Xiao Yu looked at the lush ancient trees outside the main hall and spoke in a leisurely tone. Nodding his head in agreement, Xiao Yan also looked outside the hall. A gentle breeze was blowing and rustling the ancient trees. After bringing Xiao Yan to a bedroom in the back hall, Xiao Yu said his goodbyes in a hurry. Although he had failed in refining the 5th grade 3-star medicine pill in pill competition, he had gained some experience. Now that the feeling was still there, he should carefully taste it. The sky soon darkened. The sound of the disciples of Purple Radiance sect training in the distance gradually faded away. The entire Purple Flower Mountain Palace was brightly lit, and the light flickered. The place where Xiao Yan was at was very quiet, and no one came to disturb him, causing him to have a good rest for the whole night. The next day, when Xiao Yu arrived again, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. It was an exquisite jade bottle. Although Xiao Yan didn't know what it was, he could see envy in Xiao Yu's eyes when he looked at the jade bottle. It was definitely a good thing. This is the body tempering liquid that my teacher asked me to give you. It has the effect of strengthening the body. He said that he wanted to thank you for defeating Li Zan. Xiao Yu handed the jade bottle to Xiao Yan and frowned. He still said the exact words Li Daoyuan had told him. Xiao Yan took the jade bottle and couldn't help but feel shocked. In order to win the championship, he had to defeat Li Zan. Now that he had won the championship, he had also given him the reward for winning the championship. The reason why he was using the body tempering liquid was a little too much. Seeing Xiao Yan's expression, Xiao Yu shrugged his shoulders and said, "Take it." Teacher also said that if there is any pill competition in the future, you are a dark horse of the Spirit Heaven Mansion. Right now, he is only doing his best to help you. After hearing Xiao Yu's words, Xiao Yan was slightly stunned. Then, he smiled bitterly and nodded. He did not refuse anymore. He had sensed something when he took the championship token. As expected, the Spirit Heaven Mansion's Alchemist Guild had already trapped him. And this, the medicine pill you refined during the competition yesterday. I left in a hurry and forgot to give it to you. As he spoke, Xiao Yu took out another jade box. Within the box was the 3-line Profound Spirit Pill that Xiao Yan had refined. When he saw the 3-line Profound Spirit Pill, Xiao Yan's face also revealed a happy expression. This was a medicine pill that he had used all his strength to refine. Its effect was the most suitable for the current him. After he had consumed a large amount of the green pattern pills from before, there was no longer any effect. Although the effects of the Profound Spirit Pill and the green pattern pill were similar, they were green pattern pills that were a little better than the green pattern pill. The effects of the 3-line Profound Spirit Pill were several times that of the Profound Spirit Pill. Now that his strength had reached a bottleneck, it would normally take a long time for him to break through once again. But with a 3-line Profound Spirit Pill, he could at least increase the speed at which he absorbed Origin Monarch Cheese by several times, and save a large amount of time. After giving the jade box to Xiao Yan, Xiao Yu exchanged some words with him before leaving. Xiao Yu did not have much to say to begin with. It was already extremely difficult for him to take the initiative to speak with Xiao Yan. After Xiao Yu left, Xiao Yan impatiently swallowed the 3-line Profound Spirit Pill and tried to absorb the Origin Monarch Qi. Sure enough, the absorption speed was much faster than before. In just a short period of time, Xiao Yan seemed to have touched the barrier of breaking through to the 3rd Monarch Spirit. Before breaking through to the Emperor cultivation, the Origin Monarch Qi had been condensed into an Origin Chains after entering the Origin Monarch Crystal. It would turn into a pure Origin Chains, and after breaking through to the Emperor cultivation, it would turn into an Origin Chains. The Origin Chains inside his body was formed by 100 original Origin Monarch Qis. This Origin Chains contained even more powerful Origin Monarch Qis. Therefore, Monarch Emperor and Emperor cultivation had a very clear distinction in strength. As for Heavenly Sovereign, just like when he was at the Emperor cultivation, each origin chains was formed by 1,000 origin chains. As when the name changed, there would be an unimaginable difference in strength. The place where the Purple Radiance sect is located is indeed rich in origin monarch cheese. However, the medicinal effect of the 3-line Spirit Profound pill is only that long. I still need to make good use of it. After making up his mind, Xiao Yan walked out of the room. He followed the place that Xiao Yu had told him yesterday, and after finding the right direction, he quickly left. It was early in the morning, and the sound of disciples training could be heard from the peak of the mountain. The sound was loud and clear, and it made people's blood boil. Xiao Yan came to a dense bamboo forest in the back of Purple Radiance sect. He heard the sound of flowing water and the rustling of the bamboo forest in the distance. He couldn't help but be delighted. There was no one disturbing him here, and it was a good place for him to meditate. He sat cross-legged on a protruding boulder, listening to the rustling of leaves and the sound of flowing water. Xiao Yan quickly entered into a state of cultivation. In an instant, a huge amount of origin monarch cheese rushed over crazily, and the thick origin monarch cheese quickly wrapped around Xiao Yan. The latter's absorption speed also increased explosively. The surrounding origin monarch cheese were rapidly reducing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Anyone who saw this would definitely be extremely shocked. This speed. It was almost comparable to the speed at which Emperor cultivation experts absorbed origin monarch cheese. The origin monarch cheese in this bamboo forest seemed to have found a vent. They gathered from all directions and surged into Xiao Yan's body. Under the purification of the 2 types of monarch flames in his body, they entered the origin monarch crystal in Xiao Yan's dantian in the purest form. Gradually, a new origin chains was formed. Oh, a fiery light flashed out from Xiao Yan's body. The Xiao Ao also ran out in an unstable manner. After being in Xiao Yan's body for so many days, it had been stifled badly. The Xiao Ao looked at Xiao Yan, who was fully focused on his cultivation. It let out a soft cry, and then it started running with all 4 hooves. It started running happily, and ran into the depths of the bamboo forest. Sensing the appearance of the Xiao Ao, Xiao Yan smiled bitterly in his heart. He had never seen this guy cultivate properly before. Instead, his strength was soaring like a medicine pill. When he was in the Spirit Sky City's Black region, the Xiao Ao was only at the Monarch Spirit, but now, it had broken through to the Monarch Spirit, and had reached the Sovereign Realm. However, it would be even better if you can break through to the Monarch Emperor. He laughed in his heart. The enhancement of the Xiao Ao's strength could also be said to be the enhancement of his own strength. This guy was his teacher's holy beast in his previous life. There was no need to say much about his strength. If the Xiao Ao could reach that level in this life, then this great world would be able to walk unhindered. After withdrawing his mind, Xiao Yan calmed his heart once again and quickly controlled the majestic origin monarch qi in his body. Very quickly, in just a short moment, the 3rd origin chains in Xiao Yan's body had already been condensed. It flashed with a crystal clear light like a warm jade. It shook and was filled with an incomparable strength. At the same time, Xiao Yan's aura suddenly changed. A powerful aura was withdrawn as soon as it was released. Sensing that his body had become much stronger, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes, and a powerful feeling arose spontaneously. 3 monarch spirit had broken through. 0 The abundant origin monarch cheese in his body made Xiao Yan feel carefree. He pondered for a moment. He took out the jade bottle that Xiao Yu had given him. Xiao Yan had heard of this body tempering liquid before. According to the color of the liquid, it had the same effect on different levels of people. That was to strengthen the body. The strengthening here was not an ordinary strengthening. It was an enhancement that broke through a level, which meant that after using it, the toughness of the body would not be inferior to any emperor. Li Daoyuan's gift was exactly what he needed at the moment. Clenching his lips, Xiao Yan got up and walked towards the place where the sound of flowing water could be heard. Since he was going to use the body-tempering liquid, he naturally had to use it in an open area. If he was in the bamboo forest, the huge energy emitted from it would be enough to destroy this bamboo forest. Xiao Yan could not help but be curious when he saw the Xiao Ao playing by the river from afar. This fellow was a fire-type spirit beast, but he was not afraid of water at all. After thinking for a while, he could only understand that it was because of the monarch flame. Currently, in Xiao Yan's body, if the monarch flame was treated as a room, the Xiao Yi would be equivalent to the owner of the room, and the Xiao Ao would be equivalent to the owner of the room, and the Xiao Ao would be equivalent to the owner of the room. A guest who had caught up to him could enter and exit the monarch flame freely. He could also possess the monarch flame. Just like the blue flame ruler, he could use the monarch flame to launch an attack. He intimately patted the Xiao Ao's big head and let it play to the side. Xiao Yan saw that there was no one around, so he took off all his clothes and jumped into the water naked. Then, he stabilized his body in the turbulent river water, poured out the body-tempering liquid, and smeared it on his body. The body-tempering liquid worked quickly, and Xiao Yan's skin quickly became red. Soon after, traces of hot air spread out from the surface of his body, causing the surrounding river water to churn. The heat on the surface of his body quickly entered his body. Xiao Yan could only feel his muscles and bones burning, and intense pain immediately came from his body. In the pain, Xiao Yan could clearly feel the vitality in his body changing at a slow speed. Under the observation of the latter's powerful soul power, the strength on the surface of his body was also slowly increasing. Kai, in the turbulent river water, Xiao Yan sat firmly in the middle. The enormous energy from his body kept hitting the river water around him. Water splashed in all directions. At the same time, it also caused the stones at the bottom of the river to fly up and fall back into the water, creating a few meters high splash. Oh woo! Just as Xiao Yan gritted his teeth and endured all the pain in his body, he suddenly heard the sound of the Xiao Ao from afar. Xiao Yan's mind moved and he forcefully opened his eyes. The red color on his body had retreated. With a wave of his hand, the sound of the air shaking could be heard. His physical strength had indeed become much stronger. There was no time to rejoice. Xiao Yan frowned and looked in the direction where the sound of the Xiao Ao came from. It seemed that there was a vague sound coming from someone. Xiao Yan was startled and jumped out of the water. After randomly putting on his clothes, he rushed into the distance. Swoosh! A sword light quickly slashed at the Xiao Ao. The Xiao Ao let out a low roar and agilely dodged the sword light. After that, it bared its teeth and roared at the figure in front of it. Go away! Seeing that the Xiao Ao was about to lunge at him, the person turned pale with fright. He waved the sword in his hand and screamed in a threatening manner. Xiao Ao, are you all right? Xiao Yan rushed over from the forest. His eyes swept across the Xiao Ao's body. Seeing that the latter was not injured at all, his nervous heart finally relaxed. He then looked up at the person in front of him. When he saw the person in front of him, Xiao Yan could not help but be slightly stunned. An extremely beautiful girl was staring at him and the Xiao Ao with a red face. One of her hands was holding a long sword and pointing at the Xiao Ao. The other hand was holding a white towel, tightly wrapping her body. You, rogue! The woman looked at the man who suddenly appeared and instantly screamed out. The long sword in her hand fell to the ground with a thud. Both of her hands tightly held onto the towel and turned around to shout out in panic. Xiao Yan looked at himself. Because he came in a hurry, he only wore pants and his upper body was naked. No wonder he was called a hooligan. Xiao Yan was someone who had been in the world for decades. He still had this bit of composure. He put on his clothes unhurriedly and patted the Xiao Ao's big head. He looked at the girl who had turned around and said with a smile, "Go and put on your clothes. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it later." After saying that, Xiao Yan turned around and left with the Xiao Ao. After hearing Xiao Yan's words, the girl became anxious. She wanted to get angry, but she was worried about her current state. When she heard that there was no longer any sound behind her, Lin Yi turned her head and saw that he had indeed left. The female gritted her teeth and her face could not help but turn a lot redder. Today, while everyone in the sect was training, she secretly came here. Seeing that there was no one around, she wanted to take a bath in the river. Just as she was taking a bath, a spirit beast came running out of nowhere. When it saw him, it jumped into the water and swam over. The scene just now had happened. Damn hooligan, I didn't know that the spirit beast that thinks highly of me was actually seen. Bastard, I must make grandfather punish him out of the sect. The female hatefully said. Then, she hurriedly ran to the shore, picked up her dress, and hid in an empty place to quickly change. I said, you really know how to pick a place. You actually ran into a girl taking a bath. Leaning against a large tree, Xiao Yan looked at the Xiao Ao that was curled up beside him, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. When the Xiao heard this, it snorted a few times and used its big head to intimately rub against Xiao Yan's body. When Xiao Yan saw this, he wanted to reach out his hand to touch the soft back of the Xiao. Suddenly, his expression changed. His eyes looked behind him, whether intentionally or not, and he could not help but reveal a bitter smile. Swoosh! The next moment, a long sword was placed on Xiao Yan's neck. Xiao Yan looked up and saw a woman in a white dress staring at him angrily. Pervert! Spirit beast rogue, you are also a rogue. Hearing the woman's vicious voice, Xiao Yan smiled bitterly. Just as he was about to get up, the woman coldly snorted and her sword once again approached Xiao Yan's neck. Her voice was cold. Don't move. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Xiao Yan could only continue to sit on the ground and pacify the Xiao. He raised his head to look at the newcomer. She was wearing a white dress, and her figure was pretty. She was slim and graceful, and she was even prettier than Bai Qian. Seeing the girl's furious expression, Xiao Yan helplessly said, Miss, both my spirit beast and I have no intention of offending you. After I came, I didn't see anything that I shouldn't have. Furthermore, I have been waiting here specially to apologize to you. Would that rogue do that? The woman hesitated for a moment, then she coldly snorted and said through gritted teeth, sharp teeth. Don't think that I will let you off lightly. Why were you naked when you came? Xiao Yan said helplessly, you can take a bath in the river, but you won't allow me to take a bath? Besides, you also looked at me. I didn't see anything. I'm a little more generous. Can we call it even? After saying that, Xiao Yan prepared to act. Don't move. When the girl saw this, she shouted. Her face turned red because of Xiao Yan's words. She stared at Xiao Yan with her beautiful eyes and said, You are the disciple of that elder. How dare you run away from the drill? Xiao Yan scratched his head and said, Actually, I am not a disciple of Purple Radiance sect. The girl couldn't help but be delighted when she heard this. She shouted, Great! You have broken into the Purple Radiance sect. I'm going to capture you and hand you over to the elders. As she spoke, the longsword in her hand trembled. It was about to reach Xiao Yan's neck. Xiao Yan was slightly startled when he felt the cold air coming from the long sword. If it wasn't for the fact that his body had just been strengthened, this trace of sword chi was enough to make his skin bleed. It seemed like this long sword wasn't an ordinary sword. It was estimated that ordinary low-level spirit weapons wouldn't have this kind of power. However, for a monarch spirit to have such a spirit weapon, it seemed like this girl. Her status in the Purple Radiance sect wasn't ordinary either. Don't attack. Actually, I was invited by someone. Xiao Yan saw that the girl was about to make a move, so he quickly said, Oh, you actually have an accomplice in the Purple Radiance sect? Tell me, who is it? I want to catch all of you in one fell swoop. Hearing this, the joy on the girl's face became even greater. She stared at Xiao Yan and shouted. Xiao Yan smiled and looked at the girl playfully. He said, It's your sect master, Xiao Wang. Hearing this, the joy on the girl's face instantly froze. 2 inches don't fool me. Seeing Xiao Yan's playful smile, the woman quickly reacted. Her pretty face was cold as she said. Her long sword struggled, and the blade got closer to Xiao Yan's neck. Xiao Yan looked at the woman with a headache. He then patted the Xiao's big head. The Xiao shook its head and let out a soft whimper. It turned into a stream of light and entered Xiao Yan's body. When the woman's eyes widened in disbelief, Xiao Yan quickly extended 2 fingers and grabbed the blade of the sword. He suddenly exerted force on his arm, and before the woman could react, he had already snatched the sword from her hand. Xiao Yan took the longsword and swept his gaze across it. The longsword flashed with a crystalline light, and a faint fluorescent light slowly circulated around it. It was much better than ordinary low-grade spirit weapons. Among the spirit weapons he had seen before, only Zhou Yuan's bone sword could compare with it. What are you doing? Give it back to me. Seeing the spirit weapon being snatched away, the woman recovered her senses and said with a pale face. Xiao Yan got up from the ground. When the woman saw this, she immediately took a few steps back in panic. Xiao Yan laughed lightly and turned his hand. The long sword instantly pointed at the woman. Seeing the frightened face of the woman, Xiao Yan immediately thought of playing with her. Who are you? Aren't all the disciples of Purple Radiance sect training at this time? Why are you here to take a bath? Xiao Yan's face turned gloomy as he spoke in a deep voice. The girl was startled by Xiao Yan's sudden cold and gloomy expression. She subconsciously swallowed her saliva and said with a trembling voice, "Don't do it. Otherwise, Grandpa will never forgive you." Xiao Yan laughed evilly when he heard this. He walked forward and swept his eyes across the female's body that was wrapped in a white dress. After that, he looked at her delicate and pretty face and said, "Who would know that I attacked you here and killed you?" The woman's heart sank when she heard this. Tears welled up in her eyes and her legs trembled as if they were about to collapse. Clang! The sword fell to the ground. Xiao Yan took a few steps back and smiled. "All right, I was just teasing you. Since you don't want to say it, then I won't force you." After saying that, Xiao Yan's body flashed and rushed into the distance. Looking at Xiao Yan's departing figure, the girl seemed to have lost all her strength. She was gasping for breath. When she recalled what Xiao Yan had said earlier, her beautiful eyes were filled with struggle and doubt. Could it be that this guy was really invited by the sect chief? Unable to come up with a solution, the lady picked up her long sword, tidied her clothes, and left in another direction. For the next 2 days, Xiao Yan didn't continue his cultivation. Instead, he calmed his heart and carefully felt the changes in his strength. These few days, his improvement had exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations. First, his soul strength had increased to the middle period of alien stage, and now, his strength had broken through to the third monarch spirit. There was also an obvious improvement in the strengthening of his physical body. During these past few days, he had been recuperating. It was the best time to combine work and rest. The girl in the white dress who had made a mistake with Xiao Yan previously did not appear. Xiao Yan saw Xiao Yu a few times and was too embarrassed to ask. No matter how this matter was explained, in the end, it was still the man who could not be explained. In the end, he simply threw it to the back of his mind. Under this kind of idle state, 3 days quietly passed. The Taiching Mansion is quite a distance away from the Spirit Heaven Mansion. Originally, using the transportation array would only take a few days. Unfortunately, the battle 3 days ago had affected the transportation array. Now, it's unstable, and it might be dangerous to teleport such a long distance away. Xiao Wang led Xiao Yan to the square. He thought for a while and said, "I have already sent a message to the clan." The Great Elder and the others were very excited. Therefore, even if there are some ignorant fellows in the clan, it won't affect the overall situation. Xiao Yan didn't say anything, he just nodded his head with an indifferent expression. This time, he didn't go back to Xiao Clan to acknowledge his relatives, but to understand some things. If there was anyone who didn't like him, he would just use his strength to speak. "Actually, if I bring you there, you might encounter less resistance in the clan, but I really can't leave. Therefore, I have arranged for a disciple to use a flying spirit beast to bring you to the transportation array in the next prefecture. You will be able to reach the Taiching Mansion from there." After saying that, Xiao Wang handed a token to Xiao Yan and said, "This is my Vice Sect Master's token. Take it. If anyone gets entangled with you while traveling in the family, take this out." Xiao Yan looked at the black token in Xiao Wang's hand and slowly shook his head. "Senior, you must be mistaken. I'm not going to Xiao Clan to beg them to accept me. I'm going to talk to the Great Elder of Xiao Clan in the Great World as the Patriarch of Xiao Clan in Fighting Qi Continent." Xiao Wang took a deep look at Xiao Yan when he heard this. After a while, he sighed helplessly and said, "I have been away from Xiao Clan for a long time. Perhaps, I don't intend to go back for the rest of my life. I don't intend to interfere with your actions. Since you don't want it, I won't force you. After you arrive at Taiching Mansion, there will be ears and ears of Xiao Clan everywhere. At that time, the Great Elder and the others will surely arrange for someone to come and pick you up. Of course, if no one comes, you can directly go to Xiao City. That is the headquarters of Xiao Clan." As they spoke, the two of them had already arrived at the square. At this moment, there was already a tall and straight young man in green clothes standing on the square. The young man was clad in heroic spirit and had 2 straight eyebrows that shot up to the sky. He was standing beside a huge black feathered eagle. When he saw Xiao Wang coming over, he hurriedly stepped forward and respectfully said, "Teacher." Xiao Wang nodded and pointed at the young man and said to Xiao Yan, "He is my disciple, Lin Jian. His strength has already reached the monarch emperor. He will send you to Huayang Palace." After saying that, he introduced Xiao Yan. "This is the Xiao Yan I told you about. I will have to trouble you this time." Lin Jian promised, then looked at Xiao Yan and cupped his hands. I've heard about the pill competition before this. Little brother Xiao Yan has actually won the championship. It's really admirable. Xiao Yan smiled upon hearing this. He returned the greeting and said, I was just lucky. I'll leave this trip to Huayang Prefecture to Brother Lin. Uncle Xiao, my big brother said that you want him to send the champion of this year's pill competition to Huayang Prefecture. Is that true? Right at this moment, a clear and crisp voice sounded. Xiao Yan frowned. Why did this voice sound so familiar? He couldn't help but look towards the source of the voice. Little girl, why did you come here instead of cultivating properly? Xiao Wang couldn't help but laugh when he heard this voice. He looked towards the source of the voice and saw a girl in a white dress running over happily. Where is the champion of pill competition? The woman looked at the few people on the stage. When she saw Xiao Yan's face, she couldn't help but cry out in shock. Then, she immediately stopped and said with a blushing face, Why is it you again? You, this. The woman stared at Xiao Yan and spoke incoherently. She blushed and was too embarrassed to say those two words in front of Xiao Wang and Lin Jian. How do you two know each other? When Xiao saw this, he couldn't help but look at Xiao Yan. The latter had a gloomy expression on his face. Why did he bump into her? This. A few days ago, when I was cultivating at the back of the mountain, I happened to bump into this young lady. Her cultivation affected her, so there was some misunderstanding. Looking at the girl who was stuttering in front of him, Xiao Yan thought for a moment and said, So Mr. Xiao knows my younger sister. What a coincidence. Lin Jian looked at the two of them in surprise and said with a smile. The woman glared at Lin Jian. Although she was so angry that her teeth itched, she didn't dare to say anything wrong. Lin Yi, your master has been in seclusion for the past few days. Your brother is going to send Xiao Yan to Huayang Prefecture. No one has been bothering you these few days. You have to cultivate well and stop causing trouble. He smiled and reminded the girl, then nodded at Lin Jian and Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan cupped his hands at Xiao Wang and said with a heavy voice, Senior, take care. After that, Lin Jian sat on the back of the black-feathered eagle. Lin Jian gently patted the head of the black-feathered eagle. The bird immediately let out a sharp cry towards the sky. It spread its wide wings and took off with the wind. After finding a direction in the sky, it flapped its wings and quickly flew away. He is Xiao Yan? Lin Yi looked at the disappearance of the eagle and looked at Xiao Wang in disbelief. When she saw Xiao Wang nod his head, Lin Yi could not help but purse her lips. After that, she snorted softly and muttered to herself. This kind of hooligan is actually stronger than senior brother Xiao Yu. And was almost seen by him. Xiao Wang looked at the woman and said with some amusement, You little girl, what are you mumbling about? Lin Yi was shocked. Then, she looked away and said, I didn't say anything. Xiao Wang didn't say anything. He looked in the direction where the black-feathered eagle had left and sighed deeply. He didn't know what kind of relationship Xiao Yan and the Xiao clan would have in the future. 2 inches Li. A loud sound suddenly came from the calm sky, and then a huge black-feathered eagle flew across the sky like lightning, turning into a black dot and disappearing. Master has probably told me about Mr. Xiao. As an outsider, I can't say anything about it either. However, you should just follow your heart. Lin Jian sat cross-legged on the back of the eagle and said softly while looking forward. Xiao Yan, who was behind him, nodded slightly and did not say anything. By the way, I wonder where Mr. Xiao is going after he comes out of the Xiao clan? If he doesn't have a target, he can come to the Purple Radiance sect. Lin Jian turned around and said with interest. Xiao Yan was slightly shocked, then he shook his head with a smile and said, Thank you for your kindness, Brother Lin. But I have a goal, the Yunluo Academy in the east of the Star Domain. Lin Jian nodded his head when he heard this. He couldn't help but feel some regret. After pondering for a while, he smiled and said, The academy is not bad. My brother should be in the academy too, but he left in a fit of anger back then. He only said that he wanted to enter the academy, but he didn't say which one. Nearly 10 years have passed. I wonder how he's doing now. Lin Jian couldn't help but sigh when he said this. Oh. Xiao Yan also looked at Lin Jian in surprise. He hesitated for a moment and said, I don't know his name. Maybe I can meet him in Yunluo Academy. Lin Jian pursed his lips and said, His name is Lin Dao. When he left home, he was only 17 years old. I don't know what he looks like now, but his talent is indeed very strong. 10 years ago, he was already a peak of monarch spirit warrior. These years, if he joined the academy, he would probably have the strength of a monarch emperor-level warrior. Lin Dao. Xiao Yan repeated the name in his mind. But he may have died. Although I really don't want to think that way, it is also possible. After all, the academy is not the ivory tower. There is still a necessary trial. Besides, his personality will not allow him to live in mediocrity for all these years. Speaking up to this point, Lin Jian raised his head. With a bitter mouth, he said, "Our parents died early, only us 3 siblings." In the end, I had an argument with him again. When he left, Lin Yi was only 7 years old. A few years ago, Lin Yi and I came to the Spirit Heaven Mansion. I was accepted as a disciple by Sect Master Xiao. These few years, I have been trying to find out more about him. But I didn't get a bit. Shaking his head, Lin Jian relaxed his tone and let out a self-deprecating laugh. Xiao Yan could only respond with silence. Compared to Lin Jian and his siblings, he was better off in fighting Qi Continent. Although his father was captured by the Hall of Souls, the 3 of them worked together and didn't have any conflicts with each other. Thinking of this, a trace of emotion emerged in Xiao Yan's heart. The feeling of longing surged out from the bottom of his heart like a tidal wave. Once the matter with Xiao Clan is over, let's go to the Yunluo Academy with all our strength. Taking a deep breath and making up his mind, Xiao Yan's eyes gradually became firm. Spirit Sky City. After Ji Yun, Fu Zan, and Bai Qian returned. The news and gift that they brought shocked the entire Spirit Sky City. It was filled with 5 storage rings of herbs, medicine pills, monarch crystals, and all kinds of heavenly and earthly treasures. This caused the group of elders from the Spirit Sky City's Alchemist Association to be so happy that they couldn't close their mouths. Some of the older elders even touched the golden certificate and cried with joy. They repeatedly said that the heavens had eyes. The City Lord's mansion of Spirit Sky City also became happy because of this. The colorful flags of the City Lord's mansion were fluttering in the air, like the atmosphere of a festival. The City Lord of Spirit Sky City, Ji Xiao, had already brought his subordinates to the Alchemist Association. Looking at the pile of good stuff in a room, everyone's breathing quickened. With these things, the strength of our Spirit Sky City can be improved by a lot. Ji Xiao was a middle-aged man. When he saw the pile of things in front of him, even his composure felt parched. Ji Yun, who was standing at the side, stroked his beard. After a moment of silence, he said to his subordinate, "Take out about a third of these things and send them to the Flame Spirit Gang in Black Region." Ji Xiao's eyes widened like a copper bell when he heard this. He hastily said, "Big brother, are you crazy? Why are you giving so much to those small gangs?" Ji Yun gave Ji Xiao a deep look and said in a deep voice, "Because these things were all obtained by the Flame Spirit Gang's leader for us." Why was Ji Xiao startled? He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "Wasn't it Fu Zan or Bai Qian? Who won the championship?" Bai Qian frowned at the side. She looked at Ji Xiao with her beautiful eyes and said, "Fu Zan and I were eliminated in the 2nd round. Xiao Yan only won the championship after refining the 5th-rank medicine pill in the 3rd round." 5th-rank medicine pill? Ji Xiao was shocked once again. A monstrous genius who could refine pill competitions in the pill competition at this level actually appeared? But, even so, 1/3 of it is still too much. There are so many people from the City Lord's Mansion and the Alchemist Association. If we can make use of these things reasonably, it wouldn't be a problem to have 5 or 6 Monarch Emperor-level warriors in the Spirit Sky City. Perhaps, I can even break through to the Emperor cultivation. Ji Xiao licked his lips. His eyes couldn't hide the greed in them. "Who?" Ji Yun took a deep breath when he heard that, and then said in a deep voice, "Ji Xiao, listen up, that guy called Xiao Yan. His identity is definitely not simple. Even I can't tell his potential. The next time he comes back, who knows what kind of terrifying level he will reach. If he finds out what you were thinking today, no one can save you. I will put my words here today, a third of the things here. I will give a little more to Flame Spirit Gang. If anyone dares to be corrupt, let me know, no matter who it is. I will kill him first." Hearing Ji Yun's words that contained killing intent, Ji Xiao couldn't help but tremble. Looking at Ji Yun's murderous gaze, Ji Xiao hurriedly nodded his head. "Chairman, let me send it over. Furthermore, Spirit Sky City has received Xiao Yan's great help this time. I plan to stay in Black Region and help them. I don't plan to return for a short period of time." Bai Qian pursed her lips and the image of Xiao Yan flashed across her mind. She looked at Ji Yun and said with a trembling voice. Ji Yun took a deep look at Bai Qian and sighed as he nodded. Bai Qian gently smiled and was about to leave when Ji Yun's voice suddenly sounded. By the way, tell Wei Jun to find a time to merge the Black Sect into the Flame Spirit Gang. Also, the people of the City Lord's Mansion and the Alchemist Association, who needs the medicine pills or herbs, investigate them and ask them to go to the Black Region to do some things for the Flame Spirit Gang before coming back to collect them. Bai Qian nodded silently when she heard him. Just as she was about to leave, Fu Zan's voice suddenly sounded behind her. Teacher, I need an origin returning pill. Please help me stay. When I come back from Black Region, you can give it to me. Ji Yun did not say anything. He looked at Fu Zan and sighed in a low voice. After everyone left, Ji Shao narrowed his eyes and looked at the pile of rare treasures in front of him. He said, now that we have these things, we can go all out and fight with the Feng family. Ji Yun expressionlessly nodded his head, then suddenly smiled and said, all right, let's start with the Spirit Sky City that the Feng family set up in the Black Region. Anyway, I have promised Xiao Yan that I will let his Flame Spirit Gang become the biggest gang in the Spirit Sky City. Quote, When Wei Jun handed over the token that represented the leader of the Profound Gang with a smile on his face, Bai Lufeng and Du Ruoxi stared at the former with their mouths agape. It was a long time before Bai Lufeng finally reacted. He exhaled a breath of air and spoke in a deep voice. Leader Wei, what is the meaning of this? Wei Jun laughed and said, does Leader Bai not know? The leader of your sect, Xiao Yan, is the leader of the pill competition in Spiritual Sky City. He has become the champion of this year's competition, and his status has risen. Spirit Sky City had also obtained great benefits. Previously, the Alchemist Association's Ji Yun had promised Gang Lord Xiao. If he won the championship, he would make the Flame Spirit Gang the #1 gang in the Spirit Sky City. Now, Ji Yun has started to fulfill his promise. Bai Qian, who was standing at the side, smiled. She looked at Du Ruoxi and said in a soft voice, you guys take the Profound Gang first. In a few days, we will assist you in attacking the Lincoln. At that time, we will take down the entire Black Region. Bai Lufeng looked at the 10 smiling Emperor experts standing behind Wei Jun, Bai Qian, and Fu Zan. He couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. Xiao Yan had actually done it,